Hello viewers, welcome to Eterna Bliss. You are watching overview of the New Testament part 2. If anyone haven't watched the part 1, the link is available in the description box. Go click it and view. The letters. The young church was nourished by apostles who set down their beliefs and messages in a series of letters. The first 13 letters, Romans through Philemon, were written by the Apostle Paul, who led the advance of Christianity to non-Jewish people. According to the above information, the letters are categorized into two parts, Paul's letters and other letters. Paul's letters. Romans. Written for a sophisticated audience, Romans sets forth theology in a logical, organized form. 1 Corinthians. A very practical book, 1 Corinthians takes up the problems of a tumultuous church in Corinth, marriage, factions, immortality, public worship, and lawsuits. 2 Corinthians. Paul wrote this follow-up letter to defend himself against a rebellion led by certain false apostles. Galatians, a short version of the message of Romans, this book addresses legalism. It shows how Christ came to bring freedom, not bondage to a set of laws. Ephesians, although written in jail, this letter is Paul's most optimistic and encouraging. It tells of the advantages a believer has in Christ. Philippians, the church at Philippi, ranked among Paul's favorites, this friendly letter stresses that joy can be found in any situation. Colossians, written to oppose certain cults, Colossians tells how faith in Christ is complete. Nothing needs to be added to what Christ did. 1 Thessalonians. Composed early in Paul's ministry, this letter gives a capsule history of one church as well as Paul's direct advice specific problems. 2 Thessalonians. Stronger in tone than the first letter to the Thessalonians, the sequel goes over the same topics, especially the church's question about Christ's second coming. 1 Timothy. As Paul neared the end of his life, he chose young men such as Timothy to carry on his work. His two letters to Timothy form a leadership manual for a young pastor. 2 Timothy. Written just before Paul's death, 2 Timothy offers Paul's final words to his young assistant. Titus. Titus was left in Crete, a notoriously difficult place to nurture a church. Paul's letter gives practical advice on how to go about it. Philemon. Paul urged Philemon, owner of runaway slave Onesimus, to forgive his slave and accept him as a brother in Christ. Other letters. Hebrews. No one knows who wrote Hebrews, but it probably first went to Christians in danger of slipping back into Judaism. It interprets the Old Testament, explaining many Jewish practices as symbols that prepared the way for Christ. James. James, a man of action, emphasized the right kind of behavior for a believer. Someone who calls himself or herself a Christian ought to act like it. James believed, and his letter spells out the specifics. 1 Peter. Early Christians often met violent opposition, and Peter's letter comforted and encouraged Christians who were being persecuted for their faith. 2 Peter. In contrast to Peter's first letter, this one focused on problems that sprang up from the inside. It warns against false teachers. 1 John. John could fill simple words, light, love, life, with deep meaning, and in this letter he elegantly explains basic truths about the Christian life. 2nd John. Warning against the false teachers, John counsels churches on how to respond to them. 3rd John. Balancing 2nd John, this companion letter mentions the need to be hospitable to true teachers. Jude. Jude gave a brief but fiery expose of heretics. Revelation. A book of visions and symbols, Revelation is the only New Testament book that concentrates on prophecy. It completes the story, begun in Genesis, of the cosmic battle between good and evil being waged on earth. It ends with a picture of a new heaven and new earth. Thank you for watching, guys. If you find this video interesting, please like, share, and subscribe.